Welcome to the House Appropriations Higher Education Subcommittee meeting. We have a bill, HB 1752, and I'd like to call on our staff analyst, Tony Maggio, to explain that to us. Yes, it is patron. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Delegate Ennis, Chairman Carr, and members of the committee, good morning.
Good morning.
House Bill 1752 would increase the current $50,000 allocation of funds for the Virginia National Guard Referral Enlistment Program to $250,000 per fiscal year. With a 500-person manpower gap that the Virginia National Guard aims to close to maintain a positive and productive Guard while working with and for their Guard members to maintain morale. This program is important for recruiting and retention purposes. Since its introduction in 2023, the program has garnered 21 new enlistments in 2023 and 86 enlistments in 2024. Due to the popularity of the program, the funds have already been exhausted for this fiscal year, and the program has been paused. In 2023, 24 Guardsmen utilized the program for $20,750, and 2024, 85 utilized the program and funds were exhausted. And in fiscal year 2025, 50 Guardsmen used the program and the funds have been exhausted. Why did numbers go down between 2024 and 25? To make the program payment process more user-friendly, internal policy changes allow citizens to receive one full payment of $1,000 instead of split payments. I believe there are some speakers here from the Department of Military Affairs that can give a little bit more background on this bill. Thank you for your time, and I hope it's the will of the committee to report this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Ennis. Have other folks who want to speak on this?
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Alexis Bowles-Fryer. I am the Policy and Legislative Analyst for the Department of Military Affairs. Just as Delegate Ennis said, we've been utilizing this program to exhaustion for the last 2 fiscal years. At this point, with the $1,000 single payment every single time we use the program, we will only be able to have 50 new enlistments no matter what. It's been a really, really, really good program, especially given the fact that we leverage citizens. So you don't have to be a member of the Guard. You just have to be a member of the Commonwealth, and you have to be older than 18 years old to be able to help the Guard recruit. As Delegate Ennis said, we have a really big recruiting gap, not only among the Guard, but also among our big Army, and we're just trying to make sure that we maintain force structure to be able to work within Virginia and also for the nation. So if any of the committee members have any questions, I can do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak on this bill?
Madam Chair.
Just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else from Tony Maggio?
No, Madam Chair.
Any other comments from the committee? Delegate Austin.
Madam Chair, thank you. I would recommend at this time that we table this bill for a short period of time to gather more information on HB 1752.
Second.
All right. I think that that's in order because we have a tight budget this year and we need to make sure that our expenditures are in order in all categories. Thank you, Delegate Austin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Not debate.
Voice vote? All in favor? Recorded. All right. Members will please indicate their preference on the voting board as soon as it appears. We may go back to the voice vote. No. All right, why don't we just have a voice vote? All right, great. Thank you. So the bill has been carried over temporarily. Next, we have a presentation on the Virginia Sea Grant by Dr. Troy Hartley, who's director of the Virginia Sea Grant.
Good morning, Delegate Carr,
Thank
Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for inviting us here. I also want to give a special thanks to Luke Sweeney this morning, who plucked us out of a long line and made me run 6 flights of stairs to get in the elevator. So you should be confident Luke is in great shape. So, so I want to give you a brief introduction of what Virginia Sea Grant is, why it and how it contributes to the Commonwealth and the budget amendment assets in front of you. So Virginia Sea Grant is one of 34 state-based Sea Grant programs around the country, federal-state partnership with our federal funding from NOAA. NOAA supports about only 20% of our base operating costs. The rest of the 80% we have to raise. And what we do is we conduct and fund education, outreach, research, and technology development, economic development activities for the Commonwealth, really focused on problems and solving problems. We're a university-based program. We're a multi-university entity. 7 universities are members of Virginia Sea Grant. And we use the funding to focus on investing in people, students, fellowships, and really building their capacity and providing them with lifelong competitive advantages in their career. We have found, particularly through one of the programs as a component of the ask in front of you, the Commonwealth Fellowships. That's an example of where, when in our problem-solving orientation, we were asking stakeholders in the state what some needs are, and we saw from state agencies a lot of retirements in the natural resources, Chesapeake Bay programming, water, marine resources. All these agencies are losing staff through retirement, and providing a one-year postgraduate fellowship with them was a great way of building that workforce capacity. And we're seeing 64% of those funds, those fellowships that we're funding in that postgraduate, staying in the state. We're keeping talent in the state. It's been a really important part of our program. And it also reflects the portfolio of fellowships that Virginia Sea Grant funds, heavily leveraging that small 20% of the dollars that come from NOAA, and partnering with others, including the private sector, to co-fund fellowships and internships from at the undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate level. We partner and pair these fellows with mentors in the community, so to provide them the professional development training to be effective and to make a difference on some really challenging issues that we face in the Commonwealth. And each year we add about 30 to 35 new students to the mix annually, and think of them as a cohort. We manage them as a community, a professional network that support each other, that provide mentoring and coaching, as well as the training that we provide. Oops. And so, back up. That's the foundation of the budget ask that's in front of you now, which is for $584,095, which would support the Virginia Sea Grant's workforce development and professional development programming, expand our fellowship offerings, including 5 new postgraduate Commonwealth Fellows with state agencies. And I'm going to lay out a little bit of why this is needed and how this is going to increase Virginia Sea Grant's competitiveness against our neighboring states and for federal dollars, including NOAA dollars, in the funding model that we're seeing coming out of NOAA these days. And also to really highlight that what this investment would return to the Commonwealth is $4.8 million, supporting 32 businesses and 205 additional jobs. Those numbers come from an economic return on investment model that NOAA has developed and applies to all the state Sea Grant programs. So your $584,000 and change returns $4.8 million to the Commonwealth. Apologies. So why is this important now? Right now, Virginia Sea Grant receives no direct general funds to support our program. When you compare us to our neighboring states that are competing for NOAA dollars and other dollars with us, New York State, Maryland Sea Grant, they're getting $1 million a year. South Carolina Sea Grant, $1.3 million. They use these dollars for match on federal, for going after additional federal dollars, as well as supporting their programming. And we've been seeing a change in the NOAA funding model over the last several years that is moving any increases in federal dollars into competitive monies. So we need to compete for those dollars. Virginia Sea Grant's a very strong program. We have strong fellowships. We do really well. However, we don't have the match and capacity that our neighboring states have. So we're leaving money on the table. And we've seen a 67% increase in the competitive funding opportunities available since 2022, and we've been leaving things on the table. We've been not able to pursue some of these opportunities because we haven't had the capacity. And so the ask in front of you for 584 is going to put us there in relationship to our neighboring states. Much better position than we are today. We're a strong program. We will compete. And thank you. I appreciate your.
Thank you so much, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you, you might have said this, but could you remind us what the NOAA match is for if we were to put up more money? What is the NOAA match?
So for our base operating program from NOAA, that $2 million, just shy of $2 million, we have to put 50% match towards that. And then all of the additional competitive dollars are often at a 50% match.
Okay. So, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you have to suggest to NOAA how you're going to use the money? I mean, you're going to do this research, and they approve that research, and then they match it. If you had the ability to do that, is it specific to subject matter?
Yeah. The subject matter relates to the base programming that we're, particularly the workforce development, the fellowship programming, often in the scope of things that NOAA is putting on the table. So that's fisheries and aquaculture and coastal adaptation work and literacy and economic development activities in the state. And our fellows work on those projects. The partnerships that we have, say, for example, with the private sector, with architectural and engineering firms to be co-funding students. It would be building on and expanding that programming area.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Sickles.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So how about, what is your relationship like with VIMS in Virginia? Are you part of that, or?
So with VIMS?
Yeah.
Yeah, VIMS is our headquarters and our fiscal agent.
Okay.
So we are a 7-university entity. And one of the sources of funding is dues from those members, and VIMS is one of our members, and they are our host and our fiscal agent.
You got it.
Delegate Sickles.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you, George.
Delegate Austin.
Madam Chair, thank you. You referenced New York and South Carolina's funding. Can you tell us a little bit about the federal funding that they've received in support of their funding and what they have accomplished with those funds?
Yes. So South Carolina is in their Sea Grant program is Similar in our program on some of the aquaculture activities and the coastal resource management fisheries related issues. There's some overlap in our programming and competition there. New York has been much more active in the sea level rise adaptation flooding area, and so we compete with them in program areas in that category. A good example of some of the funding sources that were on the table this last year, for example, that Virginia Sea Grant looked at and had to say, we don't have the capacity to pursue, were in some workforce development funding for adaptation to flooding and sea level rise. Large opportunities through NOAA that we were not able to pursue, and those programs are able to pursue those.
Thank you.
Delegate Austin. Mr. Maggio.
Madam Chair, and I think staff, when you see the budget amendments and the recommendation, is that right now, the way it was requested is the money flows through Chev and not directly to VIMS, which seems a little odd since VIMS is the fiscal agent, and for transparency purposes, the money ends up there, but it has to go via Omaha on the way. So staff's going to recommend the money just get, if the subcommittee and the committee adopts the amendment, for the money just to go directly to VIMS for just ease and more transparency.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? All right. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Next, we have Paula Sorrell from George Mason, Vice President of Innovation and Economic Development. Sounds great.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, thank you so much for your time this morning. I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you today about Mason Enterprise and where we're headed. Mason Enterprise is a series of programs. As you know, Mason was developed by the business community, and because we're a state institution, we take our state view very literally. So the programs that we run support small businesses and innovators, including faculty and entrepreneurial-minded students. Our total portfolio is about 30,000 small businesses across the Commonwealth of Virginia, and our team is approximately 200 people, either directly employed or adjacently employed, to support the work that we do. For 20 years, Mason has had an exceptional base, and therefore Virginia has had an exceptional base of support of all types of small businesses. Over the last 5 years, we've put together a concerted effort, and we've been adding programs that specifically address some of the challenges that we're facing. You just heard one of them. That as a state, you've heard about, you know that AI is taking over everything and infiltrating everything, and that we need to keep up. So in order to help make Virginia nationally competitive and globally competitive, we've been adding a series of programs layered on top of our small business programs to do so. So we've added about 4 programs a year for the last 4 years, mostly in the tech space. And just to give you an example, National Science Foundation, the National Institute of Health, and other programs, we don't go to the federal government asking for money for Mason. We go to them asking for programs that will support all of Virginia. So we, as an example, this year we have programs specific toward biohealth, cyber, artificial intelligence, and space. And we're also heading toward some programs specific to climate adaptability. Please know that what we're doing is revenue generating. So any dollar that we get, we try to double it and match it with either federal funding or private sector funding. But the funding that we're asking for today is specific to, but for state funding, these activities can't occur. So I'm going to now introduce my colleague, Jody Keenan, who's going to talk to you about the Small Business Development Center. And by the way, there's a little bit of our impact to show what we have. These are audited numbers. We generate them every year, and that $3.7 billion is correct. That's an accurate number.
Thank you. Ms. Keenan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Carr. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you about the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network, the most comprehensive and impactful small business assistance program in Virginia. Our results produce a 5x ROI. Whoops, sorry. Since 2003, George Mason University has been designated and funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration to lead and manage the Virginia SBDC network to provide advising and training for small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs across the Commonwealth. To accomplish this, we partner with other universities, community colleges, and economic development organizations and allocate a majority of the SBA federal funding to these partners to hire employees to operate an SBDC office. Each office is staffed with seasoned professionals, including former business owners, finance and marketing experts, and industry specialists. And in the world of Zoom and virtual meetings, we can connect businesses with the expert they need no matter where they're located in Virginia. In 2023, SBDC staff assisted nearly 11,000 unique business owners at no cost to small businesses. The services include one-on-one confidential advising, training, virtual resources, and connections to market research and community partners. And we provide practical, relevant, and actionable guidance to help entrepreneurs achieve their dreams. In 2023, again, we provided 31,000 advising hours and delivered 500 training events. We helped small business owners launch nearly 400 new businesses, access over $200 million in capital, and create or retain 2,800 jobs. And thanks to the infrastructure of our 25 offices, our reach is wide and services are available to constituents in every city and county. We help business owners with business planning, strategic planning, access to capital, marketing strategies, HR and operational issues, and disaster recovery assistance. At the start of COVID and at the beginning of Hurricane Helene, SBDCs were on the front line helping businesses and communities understand and tap into resources for business recovery. And we've also designed specialty programs tailored to key market segments, including technology commercialization and international trade. And we have expertise to address critical business topics such as AI and cybersecurity. We'll be launching an initiative this spring to educate businesses on how to incorporate AI tools into their operations. As you're aware, research commercialization is a priority for the top-tier research universities in the Commonwealth. And so the SBDC created the Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program, or ICAP, to mentor and work with innovators and researchers across the state who are commercializing technologies that will attract investment and create jobs in Virginia. ICAP assisted over 1,500 entrepreneurs since 2018 who have raised more than $200 million of investment and created 1,300 jobs in Virginia. So expanding funding is imperative to maintain this impactful program. SBDC clients represent the diversity of Virginia. 53% of our clients are women, 46% are minority owners, and 14% are veterans. Almost 60% of our clients are existing businesses who trust the expertise and seasoned business who trust the expertise of our seasoned business advisors when they're faced with an opportunity or a challenge to take on. Recently, we recognized Pamela Lucas, who is owner of Pamco Care in Prince William County. She runs group housing for adults with intellectual disabilities. We recognized her as the Veteran Small Business of the Year. And she said her SBDC advisor took the business textbook knowledge that she had learned from her executive MBA program and gave meaning to her spreadsheets and general guidance on what she needs to run a successful business. And we have hundreds of client testimonials like Pamela's and invite you to visit our website to read more about it. As a result of SBDC assistance, small business clients achieve higher sales and create more jobs than the average Virginia business. The SBDC network accelerates the Virginia economy by helping entrepreneurs with practical and actionable guidance that they can trust and incorporate immediately into their operations. Client impacts, as I mentioned earlier, result in a 5-time ROI for the SBDC, and this is consistent year over year. The SBDC is an effective program for growing and sustaining small businesses. To bring comprehensive support to small business, we also partner and collaborate with commerce and trade agencies to provide complementary and not duplicative services. For instance, we are the TA provider for the SSBCI Capital Program funded by the Department of Treasury and managed by the Small Business Financing Authority. We deliver joint training with the Small Business Supplier Diversity Program to certify small women and minority-owned firms selling to Virginia agencies. Our International Business Development Program works with students to prepare market research studies with funding from VEDP. Tourism businesses are helped with marketing plans in order to qualify for Virginia tourism marketing grants. We deliver training and advising to businesses located in historic main streets designated by the Virginia Main Street Program. And our ICAP program is the go-to resource for VIPC to accelerate tech innovation and job creation. 69% of VIPC-funded companies are also SBDC clients. So we're striving to ensure that there's no wrong door for businesses who seek help from us or business assistance resources across the state. Federal funds from the SBA are the principal source of funding for the Virginia SBDC network. And George Mason receives the funds under a contract or a grant, and we allocate a significant portion, a majority of those funds, to 13 partner organizations who match those funds dollar for dollar. Matching funds are required by the federal government and provided by partners such as institutions of higher education, economic development organizations, and local government. Our budget is supported, about 23% of our budget is from local government cash, 15% comes from the institutions of higher education, who also waive unrecovered indirect to make sure that there is investment in the advising staff to support businesses. And VIPC represents about 3% of our total budget. It's the only steady source of state funding that we receive. Since 2019, the demand for SBDC services has grown by 50%, but program funding has largely remained unchanged. The higher numbers you see for performance in 2020 and 2021 are the direct result of increased funding from the Federal CARES Act and the State of Virginia Go Virginia funds. In those years, we had more advising and training capacity to meet the high demand for assistance. Increased funding for the SBDC equals or relates to small business access and success. 30 states across the country provide direct funding to their respective SBDC networks for an average of about $1.4 million annually. Virginia's top competitor states, noted in color on the map, invest in their SBDC network with an average of $3 million annually. Delegate Reed is the patron for a budget amendment for $1.4 million to expand the capacity of SBDCs across the state. This is an investment in a long-established technical assistance program with proven results, trusted services, that is led by a university invested in the success of all Virginians, whether on our campuses or through the many resources we provide statewide to entrepreneurs at all stages of their journey. New funding will be allocated on a pro rata basis to expand local SBDC capacity and to the SBDC ICAP program that works with innovators and researchers. Thank you very much for your support of George Mason University and your interest in our initiatives to support and grow small businesses. I'll let you know that we're hosting an open house on January 27th on the 7th floor. Email invitations have been sent. We'd love to have you come and join us for a cup of coffee. If you haven't already met your local SBDC, this would be a great time to do that. And then once you're back home, We'll be glad to meet and talk with you about all the great things happening with small businesses in your districts. Thank you again, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Keenan. Appreciate your presentation. Do you have any questions from Delegate Sickles?
Thank you for being here. It's an interesting presentation. I have a question that's kind of broad question that you can answer any way you'd like, but how does your efforts coordinate with VIPC, as we call it, or the Innovation Partnership Corporation, and Go Virginia, and what recommendations would you make to improve our entire, business development, entrepreneurship in Virginia? Because we have these various programs that are separate. And you mentioned that you work closely with them, but I would like your opinion on what we can do to improve our game.
Right. Thank you for that question. We have a close partnership with VIPC. The ecosystem funding for the entire Commonwealth is under VIPC is approximately $3 million. It might have gone up to 3.5. I sat on the board of a city in another state whose ecosystem funding was $5 million for one city, and it wasn't a very big city, just as a comparison. So ideally, there would be more funding for ecosystem in total so that they could support activities like this. But VIPC helps us where they can, and they do what they can for us. In the case of Go Virginia, it's a very different model. It's only designed, as you probably know, to fund 2 years worth of a program. And so we've been grateful for the funding that we've received from Go Virginia. But as you know, we started the ICAP program as an example. And by the way, 20 other states have an ICAP program. It's a tech-focused counselors that support technology businesses at no cost to the businesses with a huge ROI. So we started that program using Go Virginia funds to keep up with 20 other states. The program ran exceptionally well. We demonstrated that the companies we supported raised $250 million after we'd helped them. And then the Go Virginia funding expired. And because by design, it only funds 2 years, it's the then what. So part of the fund, part of this ask is the then what.
Thank you.
Delegate Sickles?
No, thank you.
Delegate Austin?
Madam Chair, thank you. And Delegate Sickles and I think alike. Thank you, ladies, for a great presentation. I've served on the Go Virginia State Board. I'm a big proponent of Go Virginia, but I would also be interested to hear how you all perceive or think that we can improve what Go Virginia is doing. You've alluded to the 2 years, and I don't disagree there. A continuation of support would be further benefited. But if you all would share with me and through an email or something of what your personal experiences have been and how you think we can help and improve Go Virginia, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Delegate Willett?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I'm a small business entrepreneur myself, so I have a soft spot for initiatives helping them. This is just to make a ballpark guess out of it. So you've got an ask now, but what do you think the demand is out there? In other words, if you're asking for something now, but what aren't we meeting? If you could try to put just even a really ballpark number on that.
I'll take part of that, and then Jody might want to add on. To compare us to other states that have funding, we're asking for 1.4 million, and a small portion of that is going to tech mentors specifically. Other states fund theirs at 1.5 just for the tech sector. I think the right number of people for us to have is probably 10. With this funding and funding that we have from other sources, we're probably going to have 4 to 5.
Delegate Willett? Anything else? All right. Any other comments? Questions? All right. Thank you very much for being here today and your presentation. And if you are sending something, if you can send it to us and then we can all distribute it to the whole subcommittee, that would be delightful.
Thank you so much.
Send it to Mr. Baggio and he can distribute it. Thank you. Thank you. Any other business to come before the committee? Thank you all. Committee is adjourned. All right, wait a minute, guys.